What's up, guys? This is going to be my review for Legend of Tomorrow Season 3, Episode 3, titled Zari. This episode was so much better than last week. Last week was pretty bad. It kind of sucked. This week was a whole nother story. So, the episode introduced us to the newest member to the Legends in Zari Totems, or Isis, the wife of Black Adam in the comics. So, from what we've seen so far from Zari, she's a pretty good character. I kind of like the fact that she's using the wind totem instead of having superpowers. For those of you who haven't seen Vixen, in Vixen, I think Season 2, they introduced the totems of Zambezi, or the water totem and the wind totem, or the spirit totem was in Season 1, and then they introduced all the rest in Season 2. The totems of Zambezi are the spirit totem, which Vixen uses, the fire totem, which the main villain of Season 2 of Vixen used, the water totem, which Kawaza uses, or at least she used in Vixen. I think now she has water powers. I don't know how, or maybe she's like bonded with the totem or something, and she doesn't need it. The earth totem, which is the only one we haven't seen yet, and then the wind totem, which is what Zari is now using. So I think it's pretty cool how they connected Zari to Vixen. For some reason, I expected the recruitment of Zari to be kind of forced, but it actually really wasn't. It felt totally natural and actually ties into the season-long story, which it seems like the totems of Zambezi are going to be a big part of that story. Speaking of the totems, Kawazu made her second appearance in this episode, and she was so badass. She was never this badass in Vixen. She never looked like that. She looked completely different. She had long hair. Her skin tone was a little lighter. I don't know. She seems like a completely different character, and she didn't have superpowers. She had the totem, so it just seems like she's a completely different character. Also, it's so weird how Ray didn't recognize her. She met Ray in Vixen Season 2 when they were fighting that fire guy together. It's so weird. Ray even mentioned that he's fought somebody with water before, like Kawaze. He mentioned Kawaze, but then doesn't recognize her. But anyway, her powers are so cool to see in live action, and the CGI looks lit. So the main story of this episode was the Zari thing, and the Legends traveled to Seattle 2042. First of all, that confirmed that Star City isn't the Seattle of the Arrowverse, just because in the New 52, Green Arrow operated in Seattle, and then in Rebirth, the Seattle was renamed into Star City. It seems like a bunch of cities are renamed into Star City in DC universes. But anyway, so the Legends traveled to Seattle 2042, and the big twist of the future, which, by the way, I love it when they travel to the future. It's so much more interesting than traveling to the past. The big twist of the future was that metahumans and religion are illegal, and the metahumans being the illegal thing really reminds me of a comic book going on right now called Nightwing: The New Order, where being a metahuman is illegal in the future. It's basically the same thing. So it's pretty, I don't know, maybe they heard that somebody's doing that at DC and they wanted to do it in Legend of Tomorrow. Anyway, the actual story was pretty good. It wasn't the best story. It was much better than last week's episode, though. I just felt like the metahumans being illegal thing, it was pretty interesting. It just wasn't explored enough. I think it could have been so much better if we spent some more time there. The episode was kind of bogged down by the Time Bureau thing. While Gary is definitely funny, I think the rivalry between the Time Bureau and the Legends, or specifically Agent Sharp and Sarah Lance, is pretty overdone. We've only seen it 3 times, and it's already overdone. That shows you that it's not the greatest thing in the world. Anyway, that's like one of the side stories. The other side story is Vixen trying to learn how to fix her totem, and it's basically, both of them aren't exactly side stories. They both connect to the main story completely, like 100%, which is great, which is actually pretty cool. Both side stories connect to the main story. I think that's awesome. But the actual side story was really interesting, and the vision, like with the vision and everything, it felt like they took Nate and made him into comic relief for the rest of the episode, and it completely worked. He was hilarious. I straight up laughed like 6 or 7 times. I'm not even kidding. He was so funny. So in conclusion, this episode was pretty funny. It was actually really interesting, and the main story and the side stories connected really well, and the villain was pretty badass. But the Time Bureau thing is pretty overdone already. I give this episode a 9.7 out of 10. I was going to give it a 9.5, but then I thought about it. 9.7. So much better than last week's episode, and better than the first week's episode. Last week, I started having my doubts about how great this season was going to be, but this episode completely got rid of those doubts. This episode was really good. It built up the main stories of the season so well. Anyway, let me know what you thought about the episode in the comments down below, and vote in the poll at the top right corner of the video, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.